Reactions have continued to trail the Brookings Institute report, which says Nigeria has overtaken India as the country with the largest population of people living in extreme poverty. The report estimated that over 87 million of Nigerians, nearly 200 million population, live in extreme poverty. This accounts for about 45% of the total population, while India, with a population of 1.3 billion, is estimated to have 73 million living in poverty. TV360's Esther Vese has been trying to find out what the report means for Nigeria and the government's fight against poverty. Take a listen.
Nigeria's economy has gone through tough times in the past few years, slipping into recession in August 2016 owing to a drastic drop in global oil prices. But things are gradually improving since the country came out of recession in September 2017. From a record high of over 18%, inflation is now at 11.6%, the lowest since February 2016. And there are indications it could still trend downwards. First quarter GDP growth rate in 2018 was 1.95%, but the government is targeting a 3.5% by the end of the year. Added to that, there is now some stability in the country's forex market, and the forex reserve is now at $47.6 billion. Nigeria has also been spending big on infrastructure, and just recently, the president signed the country's record 9.1 trillion naira budget into law, which would see a further injection of funds into infrastructure. Despite all these, the Brookings Institute report indicates Nigeria still has a big fight against poverty on its hands. It says Nigeria's extreme poor are now 87 million, the highest in the world. But Nigeria's Minister of Trade, Industry and Investment insists there is no cause for alarm.
We need to understand when we get these reports that there are reports that are lagging indicators, which means that people are reporting on history. There are reports that are leading indicators, which means that forward-looking. And of course, there are reports that generally capture like what you do, which is current, which is why the fourth estate is so important, because you're actually dealing with information that is current. So when you get reports from Brookings Institute, all these sort of people, you need to look at the context. I mean, somebody may have written a report when we're in recession. Remember that if you're in recession, what it means is that even though your population is growing, people don't stop procreating because there's recession. Your growth is flat, which means that in theory, depending on how they run those numbers, you'll be going the other way. There is absolutely no question that there is an urgency to create employment in Nigeria, and it has to be a collective responsibility. What I can tell you with certainty based on one's background in business and in economics is that if you complete the things we're doing on infrastructure and you implement these reports we're doing, that's what I mean by a leading indicator. Poverty will go down. There's no magic to it. But you have to do it first. You have to put in the infrastructure. You have to implement the economic program, which is what will create the opportunities. They don't drop from the sky. So I think we should roll up our sleeves as a people and do the work. Because if we don't do it, and our people continue to bear children, obviously they'll get poorer. So I don't think we should kid ourselves that poverty is something that just happens. I think it comes out of the need, the urgent need we have as a country, which is why we are focusing it as a government to make sure that we create the enabling environment, the infrastructure, and the things that are required to create opportunities for our people. And I believe that that will definitely happen in the process of time.
But not everyone shares the minister's view. Investment banker and financial analyst Johnson Chukwu believes that the report should raise some concerns.
I wouldn't know anybody will doubt those figures. I mean, the figures speak for themselves. If you look at it, simple economics says that if your GDP rate is growing at below your population growth rate, your income level, the average income level will continue to decline. We've seen a GDP growth in the past 2-3 years at rate below the population growth. From 2015, we saw a GDP growth rate that declined below the population growth rate. And it's expected that that will be sustained to the date to 2026. What that means is that unless something changes, the level of poverty will continue to worsen. We had a GDP to GDP per capita in 2014 at about $3,500. Today, we're dealing with a GDP per capita about $1,640. What that means is that in terms of average income of Nigerians, we've seen a major devaluation, almost halving. It has almost halved. Again, our population, last year, our GDP grew by 0.83%. Our population grew by about 2.6, 2.7%. So in effect, the population is growing at more than 4 times the GDP growth rate. So I wouldn't know why anybody is disputing that. We were already a poor country, and then we're increasing our population rate at a speed that is far above at which we're expanding our economic activities.
Chukwu then highlights 3 main areas the government should focus on, not just to improve the economy, but the lives of Nigerians.
One factor, address the quality of human capital development. Go back to the educational system, address the coverage, address the quality, right from nursery school to the university level. Address the orientation of the educational system, move your educational system from a liberal and oriented education system to what today leads the world, which is STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. That is where everybody has gone to. We need to address that. Technology is leading the world. 2, address the issue of infrastructure gap. You cannot fund it because you don't have the economic resources to do that. We need to review the framework for funding infrastructure to bring in private capital into it. And the third factor, like I said, that the exigencies of the moment has made it imperative we add the third factor, is that we must, as a matter of urgency, address the issue of homeland security, internal security in the country.
There is no question that the Nigerian economy is growing, but how to translate the growth to real development has always been the issue. The criteria used by the Brookings Institute in gathering data for its report might not be truly reflective and representative. Poverty is sure still a big problem in Nigeria.